So another piece of research I've done is looking at the slave trades in Africa. So the slave trades are this very large trade in human beings. 20 million people were taken from the continent in Africa and were brought to basically the destinations shown, which is the Americas as well as the Middle East. And so this is something I started to research in graduate school. An amazing thing, once you get to the very micro level and ask, how was it that these people became enslaved? So first, it wasn't Europeans going and enslaving them. Europeans really couldn't go on land because they would die of malaria or yellow fever. And sometimes it was one society raiding another society. But actually, a big chunk of the time, it was friends and family members turning on each other. Okay, so this is one sample of 144 people. A linguist named Sigismund Kelle, who was a German linguist, basically was interested in their language, documenting their language. And he asked, oh, by the way, how is it that you became a slave? And so if you just go through the documents and look at this, you find that 20% were sold or tricked by a relative or a friend. Okay? So basically, the slave trade created this dynamic where people had to turn on one another in order to protect themselves. So in order to protect yourself, you needed guns or iron. Most societies didn't have these. So how did you get them? You traded with the Europeans. What did Europeans wanted? Well, they only wanted slaves. So in order to get these things to protect yourself, you had to turn on somebody. Okay? And maybe the day before, you just happened to have a fight with your best friend. You're mad at them anyways. So why not talk to a slave merchant and said, okay, my friend's going to be coming down the road. At this time, we'll grab him. Okay, so that was very, very, very common. Okay. So the analysis basically looked at how many slaves or how intensively did each of 800 different ethnic groups within Africa experience the slave trade. And it turns out in places or amongst ethnic groups that experience the slave trade more severely, people today report, when you ask them these survey questions, that they trust their friends less. They trust their family members less, okay? Even though the slave trade ended 100 years ago, okay? And that makes complete sense that basically if you have these norms of distrust, you're going to do a lot better during this environment of the slave trade, okay? Or maybe you'll adopt these norms of distrust.